You're listening to a Rev FM production podcast. Welcome to Pastors Live, the show that discusses things of the Bible and current events for people who love to laugh. And now, the hosts who answer questions with more questions. It's Pastors Dave, Ty, Shane, and the other guy.
Hey everybody, it's Pastors Live. It is Friday, October 25th. Are we going to have another summer? What do you guys think? Summer? We going back to? We're going to go to winter? We're going to have summer? What do you guys think?
I think we're done.
You think we're done? Think we're finally going to?
I think we finally get fall.
It's the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
Wow.
Beginning of a great season.
Well, there's
It's the beginning of joy for Steve.
Exactly.
So I'm down.
Right. Well, and Gary knows that he's closer to the slopes with each passing day.
Oh, that's true.
right.
That's true. And,
So he's a hat. Look at that big smile. on his
Yeah, I know. He is. Hey, so let's go ahead and introduce everybody really quick. We have got Gary Austin, the voice of the valley, the man, the myth, the legend. The man who will ski down a hill on rocks because he loves to ski that much. And thank you for doing what you're doing. We also have Pastor Shane is here today.
Hello. Hi,
Pastor
Shane.
Dave.
God bless you
The
guys.
other guy, we got
I'm here.
Pastor Steve
Hello,
here today,
Steve.
also known as the Donut Man. And in the studio with us today as well, Shane has got a couple guests for us, and they were here with us yesterday. But Shane, would you introduce our guest, brother?
To my left, the one, the only, Pastor Travis.
Yeah, it's good to be here with y'all. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us
quiz.
again.
What's his last name, Shane?
Turn
There you go. Well done.
And then to my right, my good buddy Phil Hardtongue.
What up, Phil?
Good morning, Phil. Hello again.
You know, it's good to see you guys, and of course, Phil joins us kind of annually a couple times for Operation Christmas Child, and we're always excited to kind of hear how everything turned out, as far as, numbers and things like that. We love to hear those things because we realize that if you have 1,000 shoeboxes, the possibility for, 9,000 people to be impacted with the gospel, right, is just, it's such a beautiful thing. Yeah. And so you just do some math, when you're doing that.
Okay, and let's do some big math.
All right, do some big math.
Locally, we did 5,270 shoeboxes. And that was boxes on the truck that left here and went to Denver and got processed.
Okay.
There was another 200 or so that's on a program called Build a Box Online.
Right.
BASBO, Build a Shoebox. I can't pronounce anything. Anyway, for $25, you do the contribution. They actually put all the boxes together in the Aurora, Illinois processing center in January of each year. And those boxes go to countries that are very hard to reach. And they go mostly like in unmarked boxes, and they're able to get into countries that marked boxes can't.
Yeah.
And by doing a Build a Shoebox Online, you're able to control what goes in the boxes so that every box is not necessarily the same, but you don't have things that say, hey, we're from America in them and things like that, which could be a problem for some of those kids overseas.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
So we did another couple hundred of that. And then so the U.S. total, 10.6 million. Wow. So the impact of that, plus the ones that another 1.4 million were collected by like Japan, Australia, some places in Europe. So we distributed 12 million shoeboxes this year internationally to over 170 countries.
Okay, I can't keep up.
Multiply that by 9.
Yeah,
multiply that by 9. Yeah, I was over here trying to keep up.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like, no,
over
it's a new
100
number.
million.
That's 100 million.
Yeah.
Effectively that have been impacted by shoeboxes this last year.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about a missions investment. So if your family, your mom and dad and your little boy, little girl, and invest $25 or $30 in a shoebox by the time you pack it and ship it and help with the shipping and all that. I mean, you talk about getting, a big bang for your buck. $25 or $30, and you are impacting 9 lives potentially with the gospel of Jesus Christ.
It's the child, the child's brother, sister, the child's mom and dad, the child's grandparents, the child's aunts and uncles. It's amazing how one box can have an impact on an entire family.
I mean, come on, Phil. Where else can you make that kind of a financial investment in ministry that brings those kinds of dividends?
I don't know of another one. That's why I don't
know any other
in
ministry
this program.
that you can be a part of that does that.
No,
I
and
love that, Phil.
And that's why we love doing that. And by the way, just so you know, it's basically, if it costs you $30 to do a shoebox and all that stuff, it's $3.33. Oh, sorry. But per person, right. It's about $3 and
make it $27 per box, and it's easy. It's $3.
Okay, there we go. Okay, now
and that's why he does the
life
math.
goals. Life goals. There it is. Life goals.
And part
right
of
there.
that's why you guys do, like at your church and at Calvary Baptist, you guys have all year long, you're encouraging people. I know at Calvary Baptist,
yes.
you guys encourage people, hey, this month buy colored pencils. This month buy
school supplies.
Yeah, school
July's
supplies
perfect
or
for school
underwear
supplies
or
for some good
sandals
reason.
or whatever. I love that.
Yeah, and Travis,
It's
how do you
annual
guys
thing.
kind of annually go about doing that year round?
We have made it literally a 365. We have a team of people that on the light end, they get together every week. 10 to 15 people. On a heavy end, we'll have 50 people show up. But we're packing shoeboxes every week of the year. It is a constant.
Do you guys have a little collections place for people?
We have to have you imagine the storage that you have to have.
Oh no,
That's
no,
what I was
that's
trying to do.
That's what I'm trying to
Steve
fathom
down here
right now.
listening to this
And
program.
we're constantly
Hey, Steve, we got-
purchasing,
guess what?
dropping off,
Our
buying.
administrative pastors who we're talking about, I can already see his head spinning.
Yeah. Can I just say also, like, one of the unspokens that we haven't even touched on in the discipleship, it's not just teaching the student and their family on who Jesus is and how to walk with him, but there is a challenge that's a mandate to go and to also make disciples. And so, I mean, we're talking exponential multiplication here, that these kids are being taught at a young age how to duplicate what it is that they have also received.
Mm-hmm.
What is that going to look like in 10, 20 years?
Jeez.
Shane,
Man.
you call that DM squared, right?
Yeah, DM squared, absolutely. Disciples making disciples, and if we say this frequently, we're not called to make converts.
Yes.
Right? We're called to make disciples, and disciples go out and reach other people and disciple them, and then so on and so forth. Right? So
Yes.
the opportunities are endless when you have that mind towards ministry. Yeah.
The three key words that Operation Christmas Child uses is evangelism, discipleship, and multiplication.
Oh, I
It's
love
not
that.
addition, it's multiplication.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, absolutely. And
I love
and
that, Phil.
That's why all of us in this studio partner with Operation Christmas Child, because it's a fun, unique way to do the Great Commission.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you what, the other week, a couple that used to come here years ago stopped by, and they were actually kind of the heads of the old Operation Christmas Child.
Oh, Eric and Julie?
Yeah, Eric and
Yeah.
Julie. Love those guys, right?
Yeah.
And it was great to catch up with them. And they were just asking how things are doing, seeing what's changed, all that. And we talked about Operation Christmas Child for a little bit. And they're like, how's that going? What are you guys doing now? And I was like, well, we're rocking around 1,200 to, we're trying 1,500 this year. And they were just blown away and blessed. Like, praise the Lord.
Wow.
This is amazing, right? And so I don't know about you, Travis, but when you have new couples or new families, young families come over to your Operation Christmas Child booth or want more information, and they're like, I've never heard of this, and you get them involved, and then they're now like hooked for life, right?
Sure.
There's nothing better.
Yeah.
Yeah, there isn't.
Yeah.
I know that at Water Springs, Pocatello, we have a young family down there. He owns a couple of laundromats here in town. They live in American Falls, but they attend Water Springs, Pocatello, so they're sort of all over the region, right? Their whole basement is Operation Christmas Child.
Nice.
Throughout the year, they are collecting, and they actually have it organized on their shelves. You know, this is school supplies, this is,
Toys.
toothbrushes, this is
Yeah.
toys, this is underwear and socks and all that. And then they
Do
will
all the
have
socks come out of the dryers from the?
that's not a bad idea. I should talk to them about
I'm just
that.
curious because there's just
Secret
one
hatch.
sock per box,
Right? There
Just
you
one sock. It's a puppet at that point. But yeah, okay.
You've already lost one. Just getting started.
Just-
it's
right,
not
okay.
a pair of socks.
You haven't heard of
yeah.
the sock
But
matchmaking?
I love that because then they'll have the young people from Water Springs, Pocatello over to their house, and they'll have this massive packing party. But I love what you guys do, and that's what they're doing at their place. is throughout the year, they're, oh, look, these are on sale this week,
That's
or
exactly
we can
right.
get these on the cheap, and they just pack up that basement throughout the year, and then they'll pack, 175 boxes at one night. I love that.
Yeah, sounds like I
We're
do need
fixing
2
to-
trailers this year.
Say it
Fixing
again.
to-
I do need 2 trailers again this year.
Not
We're
a bad
fixing to
goal.
start
No, it's a
a
great
capital
goal.
campaign for a new gymnasium. And our shoebox ministry team, they're like, listen, don't even think you're going to build that gymnasium without creating a large storage space for Operation
Not
Christmas Child.
volleyballs and basketballs, but
Priority
shoeboxes.
one, shoeboxes.
Yeah. So how do you guys go about storing stuff throughout the year? How do you guys handle that?
Yeah,
'Cause
that's
a
really
lot.
good. It's a lot, and we've had some people within the church that have stepped up. They have barns and
Oh, you're in
large
Rupert, good
locations.
point.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
All right, yeah.
So,
Coolest thing ever.
so but this is the deal: is we've overstayed our welcome in a few different spots, and so it's a lot of material to store.
It's fun
so,
for a couple of years, but you're going on
yes,
7.
that's right.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you got to put
Yeah.
the hay somewhere.
Right.
Yeah,
But
right.
that's what I love about Light the Night, because in a sense it's similar to that. As people are coming into this Halloween alternative
Right.
and they're walking in the door saying, well, here's a pair of flip-flops or sandals, or here's a doll or an action figure or something, and they're bringing something to put in the shoebox.
Right, absolutely.
And all of a sudden we're packing a couple hundred shoe boxes from a one-night event. I love that.
Right. It's been cool too. This year we've had several ladies from our fellowship that have made either hats or you saw these the other day in my office.
Oh, I
is
love
like
them.
this, a couple boxes of these like draw bags that have been
drawstring bags.
Yeah, they're drawstring bags, and they've been handmade. And there's probably around 250 of them.
Yeah.
And this gal just made them and was like, "Hey, put them in your packing party."
Right.
And I love stuff like that where it's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I made beanies for 70 kids or whatever. I've knitted them." And I'll tell you what, even in the warm countries that you think, oh, they wouldn't utilize those beanies. Oh,
those
you're
kids
wrong.
love 'em.
You're wrong. In the morning, they put those things on. I remember being in Africa and both Thailand. It's hot, but they're wearing their beanies, man. And a lot of times it's not because they're cold. It's to protect from the sun on top of their heads and stuff. So, if you're into knitting or crocheting or crafts and stuff, utilize that. That's bomb.
If you think about, one of the things we were talking about yesterday, we can do all this physical stuff, right? But remember, it's really important. This is a spiritual thing that we're doing.
Absolutely.
And there is a spiritual battle that is engaged with this. Like we're having there's a spiritual war that we're involved in.
Right.
And I was challenged. I was working on something the other day, and I asked myself this question. I am told to love my enemies. I'm never told to love God's enemies. I'm in conflict with God's enemies. I'm in conflict with the spiritual hosts of wickedness and all those things, right? And I was like, okay, wait a minute, because I have to love the Imago Dei. So those who are made in the image of God, no matter who they are, I'm required to love them and reach them because I've been empowered by the Holy Spirit for the great rescue mission. If you think about it, sin is the great thing that destroys us. We go out with the gospel. It's the rescue mission. That's what we're on for the Imago Dei. And we were talking as we ended the program yesterday, we were talking about the need to pray for our neighbors. But one of the things that we didn't connect is the idea of praying over those shoeboxes and praying for where they're going and praying for that outreach, because that's a lot of effort for 12 weeks plus the outreach, and all that. And you go from Salt Lake City on a C-17 to a truck, to a pickup truck, to a canoe, to the back of an elephant, and then and then the donkey, and then you drop into some village in the Himalayas, and there's a whole team that has gone with them. The prayer part of Operation Christmas Child is huge. And how have you guys seen and how have you guys connected people to say, hey, make sure as a family, because we did that as a family when our boys were at home, we would pray over the shoe boxes, we would pray for whoever was going. How do you guys connect for people the need for prayer in the fight against the powers of darkness that would want to hinder the gospel? How do you guys connect the congregation in that way? How do you guys go about doing that?
Well, I believe that by the time those shoe boxes are packed up, we encourage our people to pray as they're putting everything in them.
Right.
And then what we'll do, we'll take a whole Sunday and imagine, I mean, we got 4,500 boxes that we've packed throughout the whole year. We literally have them lined across. I'm talking big boxes stacked across the front of our stage, and we have people come up and lay hands on them and pray for them and pray that that they're just going to hit the mark and do more than just meet the need by putting a smile on a kid's face, but they're going to ultimately, turn into lives being saved. And
Right.
and prayer is everything, man.
Yeah.
If we go out without prayer, we are in a dangerous space, in a dangerous place. We need to
During the
pray up.
processing
And,
of the boxes, every 2 hours they stop, and the whole processing center is led in prayer over, and everybody touches a box, and that one is prayed up. So
good.
For 4 weeks, every 2 hours, boxes are being prayed over intentionally. In addition to, as each person puts one in, some people are praying for that box every time they touch it, and you're touching hundreds of boxes an hour.
Can't imagine why it's so effective.
Yeah. Why is it so effective? Well, prayer.
Phil, that is
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, how many? So I wonder if they've ever figured out how many times a particular box is prayed over. I mean, that's bunches.
And each of the area teams within Operation Christmas Child around the country, one of the aspects of a team is a prayer team.
Mm-hmm.
And ours in Eastern Idaho is just being developed this year. We have about 3 or 4 people that have volunteered to be on our prayer team this year, and that's going to be vital this year, in addition to what we've normally done of just collecting boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Because box without prayer is a box.
It's just a box.
just a box.
It's a good point. It's just a box.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
You were talking about the shipping and packing centers, right? I had just last week actually a couple come up to me, the Edgingtons, who you know,
yeah.
and they said they've participated in some of that activity before. And it's just over in Colorado they were talking about.
There's 8
Aurora,
centers around the country.
Yeah, and so they sparked the idea, man, next year, I was already like taking notes. I was like, sweet, awesome.
Yeah, Jeanette and I worked there for 2 weeks
Yeah.
in Charlotte this last December.
Oh, nice.
And it was just incredible.
So I want to take people next year and, hey, let's go on a little road trip and maybe for a couple days pack some shoe
Do an
boxes
outreach.
and do an outreach and pray. And be involved in that aspect, because like you were saying, it takes you behind the curtain and you realize, all right, this isn't just doing things in man's strength. This is abiding in the way of the Lord and actually having a spirit-filled function to make this thing happen.
It's cool because you may not be able to go to Dominican Republic, but you can go over to Colorado, lay hands on these boxes that are going to the Dominican Republic. They're going to Asia. They're going to Africa. They're going to South America.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if you think about our reading today too, right? And you think about what you're doing, and we don't know how far a shoebox can go, because you don't know how far the gospel will go because of the beautiful feet of those that carry it. So you can have a child who's 8 years old carry the message of the gospel to a king, to a leader. You don't know. And so the reading today, it says, therefore, I exhort first of all for all that supplication, prayers, intercessions, and giving of thanks be made for all men, for kings and for all who are in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life with all goodness and reverence. And obviously we're coming up on an election, and we need to be involved. There are things that our votes are not, but there are things our votes are, and our votes are part of our being engaged in our society, which God has called us to be good parts of. But I would want to point out that, this idea of prayer for all men, for all people everywhere, you and I just have no concept of how far the gospel can go from a shoebox, because the gospel's attached to a pair of feet. Yeah. And Romans says how beautiful are the feet of those who carry the gospel of peace, right? And because nobody's going to hear unless somebody is sent, right? And if you think about that discipleship part, and that's what I love about the discipleship part, is because you're making little missionaries in that sense in those cultures, but they're not. For us, that you think missionary, but for them, that's just living as a disciple in their space, because we are looking at this as missions. They are, when the receivers, it's not missions for them, it's a change of culture and heart. And now that culture continues to grow out. And like you said, we don't know what that's going to be like a generation from now.
No.
The impact that all of this has had.
What were the 3 words again?
Yeah.
Evangelism, discipleship, multiplication.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because these children that are reached in the Dominican Republic that Travis has been talking about, their cultures changed, their paradigms changed, their worldviews changed. They're living for Jesus. It's only a matter of time before they get through the Gospels to the Great Commission, and now the Dominican Republic is sending people out.
Sure.
It's just beautiful, man. So they become missionaries in a sense eventually.
Eventually, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, the whole point is, obviously the Great Commission is it's the great rescue mission of the Imago Dei.
Right.
Because that's the whole point. When Jesus says, go and make disciples, there really is it's a rescue mission that we're empowered to. Yeah. Like we are given the power of the Spirit to go out and reach people with the gospel. And so I'm so thankful. And I'm thankful for you guys coming and hanging out, by the way. And we're obviously going to talk a little bit more as we get going. But it's nice to have you come up, Travis. I appreciate that. Well, now
this was a lot of fun.
We're going to have to come visit now.
Come on.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah,
Travis, are there any good coffee shops in Rupert?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got some good coffee shops. I don't know if we can...
Shoe boxes and coffee.
I don't know if we can touch the donuts that I heard about this morning, but...
we'll bring the donuts.
Yeah, you
bring
bring
the
the
coffee.
donuts. I got the coffee.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
So...
We'll pick him up on the way down.
Yeah, well, it is bad.
Oh, hi, Steve. Are you here?
Yeah,
I'm here,
Steve's
thank you.
here. He spoke 9 words today?
Maybe.
10?
10.
Let's keep going. Let's keep it going. Why not? At the end of the
Hey, stop!
program.
No, that's enough. You got to save your voice
we
for
have to-
worship this week.
we
Yeah,
have to
how are the
end it.
Dodgers doing?
I guess they're okay.
Tonight is the
I don't
first
follow the
tonight's
Dodgers.
first game of the World Series against New York Yankees.
Yep.
Okay, so basically
Yankees,
it's the whole
New York.
country.
Blue.
It's the whole country versus New York, basically.
Well, depending on who you're talking to.
Right.
Some people say it's the whole country against LA, but
Yeah,
they're just
it
jealous.
depends.
Oh, got it. Okay.
My team was out, so
Hey, everybody, you're loved, your family.
Go to
Thanks for
church.
joining us. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. You guys are always welcome at our table. It's nice to have you guys here. Hey, God bless you guys, and we'll talk to you on Monday.
You've reached the end of another episode of Pastors Live, a Rev FM production podcast. Thank you for listening. Submit your questions and comments by email to pastorslive@therev.fm. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review from your favorite podcast listening platform. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon so you don't miss the next episode drop.